Do you know what? I come on here pretty much daily and we present a channel to you and we give you as much information as we can about the team that we support, the team that we love, and all that sort of stuff. And I've always been a half glass full West Ham fan. I will always remain a half glass full West Ham fan. And I've enjoyed the last couple of seasons. I've enjoyed the Premier League season, the season before last. I've enjoyed the Europa League campaign last year. I've enjoyed the spending the money in the summer. That was good. That was nice. But I think what comes with transitions and teams moving on is the ability to be able to understand when something's not right and something's not working and moving on from a negative situation. And right now, all I can see right now is a negative situation. We've been beaten 5-1. We've been smashed to pieces 5-1 at home to Newcastle. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and you really need the team to step up and show fight, show determination, show the fans that they're there to try and stay up in this league and show the fans what they're capable of doing. That doesn't just resonate. That doesn't just stick with the players. That sticks with the management. That sticks with the owners. That sticks with the fans. You know, you could hear early on in the game the fans were behind the team. You could hear it because West Ham in the first couple of minutes took the game to Newcastle and we pressed them and we caused them a bit of concern. And the fans were there in abundance. Now, you have a mistake, it's forgivable. You have a second mistake, it's not great, but it's forgivable. As long as you don't implode and that keeps on continuing. And that didn't. And we came back into the game. And you think to yourself, right, we've got a chance here. We've got a chance. And we didn't even play great in the first half. We had a 10-minute spell in the first half at the end and a 2-minute spell at the beginning of the first half as well. Apart from that, it was errors that cost us the first half. You think to yourself, right, let's build upon this in the second half. Let's see if we can make some changes. And we give away a cheap goal again, third cheap goal, and it's inexcusable at this point. We're chasing the game. We're chasing the game. It's not working. The system's not working. We're not really testing the goalkeeper. We're not really testing that back line. That back line, let me get this right. You don't have to be a wonder football genius to understand that you can get at the Newcastle backline. In actual fact, I'm really surprised many other teams haven't done it. I'm actually really surprised that teams haven't penetrated that defense a lot more than what they have this season, because I'm telling you now that defense is definitely can be got at, especially down the two wings, the right back and the left back. You can get at them if you attack them. We saw little elements of Antonio collecting the ball and attacking their left back or the right back, sorry, and it was working, and he was cutting inside and he was getting inside the box and it was working. But when you saw that progression, you would build upon it. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to build on it. But we just didn't do it. We didn't build upon that momentum, that progression of going forward. And suddenly we were finding ourselves losing the first ball again, losing the second ball again, and then you started to see complacency set into the team, and you start to see players getting a bit fed up. And as Holly said last night, you kind of felt like the players were giving up. But where does that resonate to? Who does that come from? Where does that come from? Does that come from the top level? Does that come from the manager? You know, where does it come from? You get beat 5-1 at home when you're in a relegation battle. It's not great. It's just ruined all of our hard work and being able to defend that, you know, we've been the top six for goals conceded in the Premier League. That's gone. That's completely gone. We can't put the ball in the back of the net, but no wonder we can't put the ball in the net because we've got players that are running around like headless chickens. It's not their fault, but they're not supported. So let me bring this back to David Moyes. David Moyes said last week in his post-match presser against Southampton that playing Danny Ings up top alone doesn't really work because we know what sort of player Danny Ings is. He needs support. He needs players around him to be able to get the best out of a player like Danny Ings. So when you make that comment, it's confusing on the back of a game. Yeah, you got the victory. Wasn't a convincing victory against Southampton. But it makes you think, why the hell did you play the player and not support him up the top? So you come into the game against Newcastle and you think to yourself, right, he said what he said. There's possibly going to be a change. And if there's not going to be a change, there's going to be a change of tactics and formation. Therefore, you're going to put a second player up there to support the mechanism, support the style of play, support the formation, support the team selection, whatever you want to call it. Put a second player up there to support him. You look at the team lineup and you see Antonio up there, again, isolated with Souček behind him. And you can't help but feel negative about that approach because you think to yourself, what is it going to take for Moyes to shake this system up? Because currently, we win one, we lose one, we draw one, we lose one, we win one. And that can be relegation form. We're in relegation form. If we stay up by the thin of our teeth, like by the skin of our teeth, and we may stay up from the skin of our teeth, change has to come in now. Because the biggest concern I've got from being a very big positive West Ham fan is the comments. That manager is saying, that David Moyes is saying. I don't think he understands the consequences of what he says. I'm going to play you. I'm not going to put it up on the screen. I'm going to play to you what David Moyes said in his post-match presser from the Newcastle game.
Tonight as well when I saw it, so I know how it works. But sometimes when it's not so good, that's when you stand up and be a true supporter as well. Sometimes we've had some great results here last year, whether it have been in the league or whether it be in Europe. And sometimes when things aren't going so well, you need everybody behind you. I thought the crowd at the start of the game tonight was fantastic. I thought the atmosphere when we came out and the way we started the game was brilliant. So I've got no qualms with them leaving with a result like that. As I might have.
So, right, I want to repeat
tonight as well.
I would have walked out tonight if I saw the result myself. I know how it works.
Sometimes when it's not so good, that's when you.
Sometimes when it's not so good, but you stand up and be a true supporter as well. You can't question the fan base. You can't question the fan base. You've overstepped the mark. You can't do that. It's okay for the fans to say that. It's okay for the fans to turn around and say we need the back. And I said it pre-game. You need everyone in unison. You've got that at Newcastle right now. You had it at West Ham before. You don't have it at West Ham right now. The West Ham fan base is what can make the players click. The fan base were there from the start. The players and the management team wasn't. And the game was there within reason for the taking. The game was there to be able to challenge Newcastle. Newcastle were not great tonight. They were not great in footballing terms. We handed the game to them on a plate. But you don't turn around and you do not say, by no means, the fans have to stand up. The fans stand up and be a true supporter. Are you literally ridiculous comments you've made? You go from anyone who had any ounce of respect will lose that respect for that manager. And I see Declan Rice's comments coming out where he spoke out and he said, listen, we're here for the manager. I'm going to address something else he said. He said, what would your message be to supporters after tonight? This is what he said. I have to say the support before the game is fantastic. The noise in the stadium, and actually they helped us in the first 5 minutes. And actually, I think I saw a really positive team. We're trying to get Newcastle, who are a team in the main, who start the games very well and have done. I thought we started very well and went a goal down. We hit the ball away from a corner kicks, which gives them a chance to get it. If he said I was under great pressure, you look at it and see really poor decision making. I don't really necessarily know if he knows how to get out of this situation, apart from the fact that we may have 3 worse teams than West Ham. But what I am going to say to you is, when I look at the teams below West Ham right now, apart from the Nottingham Forest game for West Ham, I look at the Crystal Palace performance the other day, fight to the end, and they started rattling that goal. Southampton, crap against West Ham, came back from the depths of beyond to draw 3-3 against Tottenham, beat Chelsea twice this season. There is a little bit of fight there. Bournemouth winning the game at the weekend, but winning it, we won the Soccer Saturday, and Miles, he was telling us, Bournemouth took the game to Fulham in the second half. But how can we take games to the teams if we don't change things? If we bring 4 like-for-like substitutions on, it doesn't make sense. I can't defend. I've not defended it for a while, but that is indefensible. That's like the end of my tether. That's the final nail in the coffin. That's where I'm things build upon things. 4 like-for-like subs. Ings for Antonio and not support him doesn't make sense. Downs for Souček doesn't make sense. Corney for Benrahma doesn't make sense. And Sefao for Kira, it doesn't make sense. If you switched it and you left Antonio in the park and you brought Ings on, a little bit different. You bring Lanzini, Fornals, Cornet, leave Benrahma on the park, maybe a little bit different. Maybe you take up one of the players and bring Downs on to bring in that kind of protection through the middle of the park, a little bit different. You don't go like for like. It kind of felt like he turned around and he went, here's 4 substitutes. There you go, West Ham fans. This is what you want, so I'll give it to you, but I won't do anything with it. I won't change the formation. I won't change the tactics. I've tried my best to stay as calm as I possibly can when I'm doing this for you, and we're going to have a lot more talking over the day. But I needed to compute the information that Moyes had said earlier last night. I felt like I went off on one. I went off on a bit of a tangent. I don't like swearing all the time when I'm on the channel. It's not really necessarily me. Of course we can all swear and stuff like that, and that's fine. But I'm fed up. I'm upset. I'm deflated. I am feeling this loss more than I felt anything. Brighton was awful. But if there was a catalyst of why we should be not in the situation, or change, that should have been the game for change. How can't the relevant people see that something isn't right and it's embedded into the system right now? Something's not right and it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. The comments that Moyes made about fans, you can't make those comments. You can't come back from that, in my opinion. People go in and slag off other managers that have ever done anything against West Ham. The Sam Allardyce Cup to the year. It's an equivalent. It is an equivalent. I don't like to incite rage or whatever, but don't, I'm trying my best to even see if I've misunderstood the comment, but I haven't. He said it. The fans are on their back. Well, no wonder, mate. No bloody wonder we're on your back. Because, there's individual errors and it falls on the players. But you also have a decision to make where you can chop and change the players, chop and change the formation, and try and go at the game a little bit more. But you didn't. You didn't do it because you're a conservative manager and you chose to be a conservative manager. And that conservative style has got us smashed 5-1. That conservative style nearly got us beat from Southampton. You said it in your post-match press conference, and you actually said physically that it wasn't the performance that counts, it's the result that counts, which I agree with to a certain extent. But when you're in the situation you back that up with a performance in the second game, or you back that up with a result in the second game, but we can't do it. We'd get no consistency. I'm thanking you for the memories you've given me in the modern day as a West Ham fan. I am thanking you, but we're in real dreaded threat of getting relegated. And if we don't get relegated and we stay with the current style, it's mundane. I'm bored. It's boring. It's absolutely boring to watch. It's really, really depressingly boring to watch West Ham right now. Like, it feels like a chore to watch West Ham right now, and it shouldn't be like that. I would rather go down fighting, hunger, taking games to teams. I swear to God, all of us would, if we just had fight, determination, never giving up in the second ball, committing a bit more bodies forward, a bit more flamboyant play, creative play, shooting at the goalkeeper, creating chances, hitting the bar. I mean, come on. That is not good enough. Southampton is not good enough. Brighton is not good enough. These games are not good enough. I've gone on about fine margins all season. That's tapped out. I'm gone. I'm done. The Wolves game, not good enough. Goes on all season. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Time's up. We need to save this season. I said at the beginning of the Match Day Live last night, maybe the decision, because Potter maybe wasn't going to come to the club, that maybe sitting behind Moyes, even though I think Moyes should be out. Maybe unless someone else is going to come in, maybe it's the right decision, but you're not going to change anything. Then what are you going to do? Are you literally going to go in against Fulham and play the same? I feel like he is, and I feel like Fulham know, and we are predictable, and they will know what we're going to do, because we are extremely predictable right now. I genuinely believe opposition teams look at West Ham right now and think, do you know what? This is reasonably easy. I don't think we tested the Newcastle defence apart from maybe all but 12 minutes in that game. And I genuinely think the Newcastle defence were like, oh my word, that was easy. And do you know what? Like, if you want to get at West Ham, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. But in actual fact, I tell you what, you don't need to do anything, because West Ham will give you all the answers, because that's what we do. We are predictable. We really are predictable. That's all I'm going to say. Join us later on. We'll do the predict. I don't even want to do them, but the player ratings and all that sort of stuff as we prepare for the Fulham game. Sorry for the mundane, boring, negative show that I've just done for you, but I needed to do it anyway. Take it easy.